Well, hello again, everybody. So, we want to welcome you back to another Embracing Boundlessness Zoom session. And tonight, what we're going to do is if you're at all familiar with the individuals you see in front of you on the screen right now, um, all of these individuals have explored themselves to a depth or a length of time or both where they have, in various ways, had connections begin and sometimes flourish with non-physical entities, with their own higher self, with friends of theirs that are non-physical, whatever you may want to say, all those things. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to one by one, and this may be a 2 week thing. We're going to let anybody who feels like it share their experience. They may talk a little bit about how it first began, how it progressed, how it opened up, maybe differences, whatever, whatever shows up for them would be nice to hear. And, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is that um, a lot of times people have ideas about how things need to happen, how those things need to first occur. And so I think you'll get a lot of different experiences that you'll hear here, and it can help people maybe understand that maybe the experiences you're already having are just those, are you attempting to contact you or other non-physical friends or whatever, and you're not just understanding that it's that. Or as people share their stories, they'll help open doors for you or give you ideas, whatever. Opportunities for your own higher self to tap you on the shoulder and go, yeah, pay attention to that, or whatever. So I think this will be a great experience for everybody. And so what we're going to do then is we're going to kind of figure out who is going to lead us off. Now, um, I've already really talked a lot about some of the experiences that I've had. I'm willing to maybe add or take some other directions if you guys feel comfortable with me starting off. Or really, my initial idea was I really wouldn't say much at all, and you guys would really, be the ones that would be doing a lot of this because again, I've shared, a fair degree of some of the experiences that I've had. So just out of curiosity, anybody at all, and just kind of you can say it verbally or you can raise a hand. Anybody feel like, okay, sounds good. So Kathleen is volunteering to lead us off, and then Kath, when you're done, you just let us know, and then
Questions
I'm
and comments.
yeah, questions and comments. We'll just leave it open for questions and comments, and then we'll move on to whoever feels next. And let's make this relatively non-formal, guys. We all kind of know each other a little bit here, and it doesn't have to be so strict or anything. So, Kath, why don't you go? Thank you.
Yeah, I was always the person that sat at right at the front of the class. So, so I figured I would be the one who could start because everybody else is going to hold back for a while. So, I don't have a whole lot to say. I started exploring metaphysics and what I considered to be the unknown things when I was a teenager, and at that time, I actually seemed to have some concept of creating your own reality because I can remember actually during the evening when I was out of school, going through my head about, what is going to happen tomorrow. And this person will say this, and I will say that, and then they'll do this, and I'll do that. And it always worked out that way. Um, and I don't even know what happens. I lost that, but things are different now because I'm starting to recognize and realize that I just stepped away from anything that I feel like was uh, some good form of communication or whatever. So now I'm retraining myself. So I'm retraining myself. There are two voices in my head almost all the time. There is the ego voice and there is the soul voice. And I have learned which one is which and what they're telling me because the ego voice tells me to eat that other piece of cake. And my soul voice is like, are you listening to your body? Listen to your body. It's telling you some things and you should pay attention. And I'm like, really? That's kind of rough. And also when I was younger, I'm going to say maybe in my mid 20s or so, maybe late 20s, I started experiencing a form of telepathy. I would just know what somebody was thinking. And uh, I think that as a culture right now, we're not really trained to do that because we lie to each other all the time. Even if we're not quite aware that that's what we're doing. And I would hear verbatim what that person was thinking, like if I asked them a question and they replied to that, and I'm like, that's not what your brain says. So that that was a great experience. I seem to have gone through things in my life where I have a period of something and then I don't anymore. And I don't really know for sure why that is. Probably about a year ago, maybe not quite. And it had nothing to do with communications or, how we communicate with each other. But I had a week where I was in complete bliss. And I was almost overwhelmed by that because it was an amazing feeling. And there was nothing going on in my head that was stopping that from happening. And as the week went on, I'm like, this is the coolest thing in the whole wide world. Everybody loves me, and I love everybody. And I really hope that this continues on. And it didn't, but I don't know why. And I don't know why I had it for that time. So I'm done. Y'all go ahead.
Well, that's pretty neat. I'll just make a few comments and then somebody else can step in and make their comments. But, my exploration has been a lot like that, where it seems like I got interested in certain things and really dove into them and then had a lot of cool experiences around them. And then I moved on to something else. And then I would hardly have any of the other stuff go on while I was focused on something else, you know? And I picked a lot of different things. But yeah, so that kind of reminds me a little bit about what you were saying there. How about other people? Comments or anything about what Kathleen was just sharing? Go ahead, Heidi.
Just a real quick comment. Uh, a few months ago, I was, for no apparent reason at all, I just got this deep feeling of bliss. And I even turned to my adult kids. I said, "Can you guys feel that?" And they're like, "Feel what?" um, and, it lasted much shorter time, maybe 15 minutes. I don't know. I wasn't really keeping track of time. It was very blissful. But yeah, it came out of the blue, and then when it ended, it ended. So
Cool. I did have something that I thought was very well. It wasn't. I want. I'm going to call it strange, just because it was so different, and it was interesting to experience and to become comfortable with. But and what was it? 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I can't remember what it was. But all of a sudden, every single person I met was really nice to me, regardless of where I was, regardless of what the situation was. Like at work, somebody else could be having an issue with somebody, and I would walk up, and their entire tone would change. And it didn't take long to notice it. And it's really an interesting thing to have every single person that you run into treat you really, really, really nicely, like all the time. You don't even know them. And I'm like, wow, it was a little bit of a struggle actually to be comfortable with it, because that's not really what I was used to. I mean, well, of course, normal interactions is from my perspective. But not that people would be mean or grumpy or anything like that, but they'd be just, they're, the regular thing they talk about, going about their day and whatever. But for that, and I don't even remember how long that time period was, but yeah. So I had something a little different, but yeah, it was very different. Anybody else? Something kind of
Um,
similar? You,
this bliss that kind of comes and goes, I call that the bliss kiss. And it's like it will come through and you feel it and you go, wow, this is so cool and everything's okay. And I'm loved and I love. And then it's like it skitters away for a little bit. And the thing that I'm finding now is that all of this stuff that's going on in our world, um, they can't take your bliss away from you, but it's almost like they mute it. But you felt that bliss and you know what that feels like. And you can call that bliss back to you. And one of the things Kashima had talked about me, he calls this part of the knowing, is that it's hard to live in that bliss for a long period of time because you totally disconnect from so many things. And that, for me, that wouldn't be a bad thing, but I still have to live in this 3D world and see the things that are going on. But I know that that bliss is right there. And that's getting in that space and calling that bliss back. And so that's what I've been doing lately. And it's so cool that you brought this up and are talking about it because it's been something that I've been doing. I'll catch myself and I'll go, ooh, I don't feel real great. And then I'm like, I need bliss back. And so I try to put myself in that space where bliss can kiss me again and just slip in and be what I'm living. And no, I don't live it 24/7, but I try to be in that and connect with that. And that's the cool thing. Once you felt it, you know what it feels like.
yeah, I think that, with all of us, that statement is an important thing as far as when we experience whatever expression it is of the rest of who and what we are, as an expression of consciousness. When you have those experiences, um, they're yours. You're never going to lose them. And so you can always go back to them. And, a lot of times you might experience them a little different than you did originally, but still, you're still able to tap into where that came from and have something go on. So yeah, I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So if no one else has a comment along the
I
lines of,
do.
okay, go.
My heart's beating so fast just because I so resonated with everything Kathleen was saying and then everything that you said, Chuck. It's like, yes, that's what I've been experiencing. And I found myself sometimes actually feeling a little guilty about feeling that way. Not guilty for myself, but like I'll be around people that I know are really suffering and I so badly want them to feel
Right.
that magic feeling that, once you feel it, there's no going back. You can't, that's what we're striving for now. And I just so want to help them and teach them the tools that I use on myself every day when I feel that dip. It's like, no, 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 I don't want to feel that way anymore. I'm going to continue this and I'm going to,
Yeah.
I put in a frequency and listen to that to raise my vibration really, really quick. I'll do visual things sometimes at work. If I feel that dip, I just excuse myself, go into the bathroom and just picture the light go through my body, and then I picture the red, the orange, the yellow, the green. I just do all the colors, and it
Uh-huh.
just helps me like really fast to get right back into that bliss
Cool.
feeling.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
it's work for me to get used to that because it's a whole new way of being that I so want to continue to have, to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
And it's
And
just,
and I think it does take that. It takes intentionally bringing your mind back to that. Saying
yeah,
that's the choice I want to make. That's the choice I want to make. And if you use whatever tools you use to do that is fantastic.
yeah.
Just to do that. And I
And
think
trusting
that, you
more,
know,
trusting my own voice
yeah.
more.
And you keeping yourself in that place, I think is one of the things that helps those people that struggle with the things that they struggle with. Because
Right.
again,
Which is
there's
why
more of
I've
that energy around
experienced
them.
the people that, like you had said, that everybody that's you're coming in contact with, it's just the conversation just flows and it's just so different. It's such a different, but I've come to the realization that that's because that's the energy that I am projecting out, because
Yeah.
that's where I'm at peace and calm within myself. I know who I am, I know what I'm here for, and it just opens them up to show themselves, and they'll kind of like, wow, like what kind of like, wow, that was really,
Yeah.
like quite an experience. And
Yep.
so, but I've learned that that's a lot for me to experience as well. So I find myself needing a day or two or three, sometimes four, to like integrate that experience that I just had. Because I find myself like doubting it. Like, did I just experience that? Did I just dream that? Or like, there's a sometimes it's hard to tell what was a dream and what I'm really experiencing, which
Yeah.
is very interesting. I
Yeah.
know, I mean, I'm grounded, and when I feel that way, I make sure I ground myself, but it's just
Yeah.
weird, this process that's happening every day at a really quick, it's like, whoa, I need to slow down and just be, you know.
Yeah, one of the things that's cool about the place that I'm still employed at is that I work with a lot of clients, sometimes all in one large room. And because I supervise the place, what I've learned to do is to let go of the idea that I'm the one that has to make sure everything is going smoothly and let everybody have their own interactions with individuals. But if I get caught up in that a little bit, right, and I get too concerned about what everybody else is doing, how they're doing it, that kind of stuff, then my surroundings start to change in response to that energy. And when I catch myself, because I always catch myself, when I catch myself and bring myself back to where I want to be, then it does what you're talking about. It switches back, and now all my
Yeah,
interactions
it's
are
just,
different. The feeling inside me is different. Everything is different. So
yeah, it's
I got
just
to
so
be
hard
mindful
to
all the time.
experience and not be able to talk about it with people without them looking at me like, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
I am talking about it more openly with people that are in my circle.
yeah,
And I've kind of like, I don't care if you guys think I'm weird. It's just, I'm experiencing it in order to talk about it, to let you know that there is another side. There
yeah,
is another side that you can live on. You just have to choose to live
yeah.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's such a power thing to do, right? Because you do have that choice, right? And so they're there. And you may have to choose it every 10 seconds.
yeah,
You may have to choose it now, well, and again, whatever it takes, because, I remember having days like that where I got to choose it over and over and over and over
yeah,
and over again. And then there are times where it seems like it's really easy. So yeah,
yeah. So
cool.
thanks for listening.
Yeah, guys. If anybody else has something to add to any of that, that's cool. Otherwise, Sparkling sounds like she wants to share her journey next. So why don't you go ahead, Sparkling?
Hopefully you all can hear me okay. It's been a little bit glitching on my end,
We can hear you.
but just I think Anita probably is one of the only ones that hasn't heard or read my message in the chat. But so I just want to share that again. So after the meeting last week, decided to say a lot of stuff, and it took me a lot to process it. and I had to turn off my camera and I had to flip over so I could only see Chuck, so I could focus on what he was saying. And then later when I was and at the end of the meeting, then Willow said something about that it would be fun to talk about telepathy sometime. And so with those two things in mind, I was getting ready for bed after the meeting, and I and I was thinking about these things, and suddenly I realized I had this thought that maybe my sensitivity to people's tone of voice and actions and body language and stuff, like I always thought it was just like because of all the trauma and abuse I've been through. But then I was like, well, maybe it's actually not that. Maybe it's the opposite way, that I naturally explore experiences and other people's experiences, and maybe that's just how I naturally experience consciousness or explore consciousness. And so with me being so sensitive, like all the stuff I went through just kind of turned it into like a negative, painful thing that I didn't want to be a part of my life. But then thinking about it, I was like, well, maybe it's the opposite of that. Maybe that's just how I naturally explore things, and I just have to, I guess, see it in a different way and see it as something good. And I was also thinking about the telepathy, and I was like, I'm already doing it with the Sasquatch people when I go out in the woods and stuff. Um like I haven't written anything down. I didn't prepare, so I might be a little bit all over the place. Um but it's like so much of my life has been like just trying to survive, just trying not to be hurt again, just trying not to uh I just wanted to feel good. Like I have felt so much other stuff. I just want to feel good now. And it's hard when I don't, because stuff gets triggered, or stuff comes up to feel or work through or whatever. Um, but when I was thinking about this, I was like, you know, in well, pretty much since I've connected with the Sasquatch, it's like things have changed, as in not only are they helping me to heal and process things and see things in different ways, um, but when I go out in the woods, they're, especially in the last month, like they just create a safe space where I can just feel like I can be myself, and I can just feel whatever I need to feel, and like none of it is judged, none of it is criticized. Like I can just be myself. I can just be totally honest with myself, and I can be totally honest with them, and they don't shame me for it like people do so often. But I've just found it very interesting because um with them giving me a place to just feel safe, um it helps me process things faster. And with the muscle testing, um like I knew about it before Jamie ever talked about it, but I just always saw it as something bad because of the conditioning and stuff when I was growing up. But in the last month or two since Jamie talked about it, I've been slowly practicing it, and it's in the last week or two that I've discovered I can use it to ask questions, because I am naturally very curious, and it's like most of the times I don't even ask my questions because I know that people would think they're weird questions, or they would not even know where to start to find an answer for my questions. And so it all kind of started about a month or two ago when I started asking my feet which way to go when I go in the woods, and being guided to places and stuff. And like my last experience was um, on Tuesday. I wasn't I didn't know what was wrong with myself. Like I was just so out of sorts, and so I decided to see if I can ask and see if there's a message from the Sasquatch people by muscle testing. And so I did, and I was guided to pull a book off the shelf, which I did, and it led me to uh it was like, so I opened the book and I was pointing at blackberry. So then I asked if I should uh look up the spiritual meaning of blackberry, and I got a yes, so I did, and it took me to connection with nature. So from there, I was like, okay, so do they want me to go somewhere? And I got a yes. And I was like, because I was like not feeling like going anywhere. And I was like, if anything, maybe just in my backyard, which is not very private. And so I got an answer to go somewhere else. So the first thing that pops in my head is a wildlife area that's like 15 minutes north of my house that I've not explored yet. Well, I have now, but I asked if that's where I'm supposed to go. And I got a yes. And so I did. Um, and it was very interesting to me because I asked, like, I didn't, like, often when I go to new places, I'm like always like very aware of my surroundings and just, the energies, whatever I can feel. And so when I got there, I hadn't gone very far in the woods when I began to feel them around me, like they were just like hovering over me very protectingly, and it really helped me to just be okay with just being myself, not being afraid. Like I felt no fear, and so I just asked my feet to guide me, and I it took me around the edge of the field and into the woods, and I began to see structures. So out of curiosity, I asked if the Sasquatch made it. Like, I had never thought to ask this question before. And I got a no. And I was like, what? Like, I had never before considered that perhaps the Sasquatch people might not be the only people that make structures. So it was a pretty big one, like bigger than me. And I was like, okay, so the little people, it would might be too big for the little people. So I was like, and the only other beings I could think of was Dogman. So I asked if it was Dogman. And I got a yes. And at the same time, I felt this being come into my energy field, like next to me. And it was very, it was not scary. It was more like a greeting kind of feeling. And um, I had always just been kind of scared of them because I'm scared of dogs till I know that they are not going to bite me. And so thinking of this, big humanoid being with a dog face just kind of scared me. And so so it was a new feeling for me to realize that this was not made by Sasquatch, it was made by Dogman, and I had a feeling that the being I was feeling right next to me was Dogman. And I was like, okay, it just took me a little bit to process that, but I found myself actually feeling very happy about it, like that I was actually connecting with them and I wasn't scared. And so I kept made my way on through the woods, and every structure I found, I started asking, who made it. And I found most of them were made by Sasquatch people, but one was made by the little people, and um, it was just very interesting because I'd never before felt them so intensely like hovering over me. Um, but it was a very beautiful experience because by the time I was on the way back, I was led to a stone, like a flat rock, in the middle of a dip, kind of. It might be a creek at some point, but the water was kind of stagnant. But it was just this flat rock, big enough for me to sit there, and it was like, okay, I felt like I was supposed to sit there, and I ended up sitting there and releasing stuff until I felt better, and then I was able to go my way. And it's like I keep having all these cool experiences, and it's like they keep creating safe places for me where I can just be myself and just be free to be myself, because I want honesty. I want to be honest with myself, and I want connection, but it's like I can't, I have such a hard time finding that with people. And I know that because I have such a hard time finding it with people, it just means so much to me that I can go out and be with the Sasquatch people, and they create the space I need to continue exploring and moving forward and processing things. And so just in being in finding out that I can ask these questions and get answers, like later on, I think it was later on when I was getting ready for bed, I was like, I began to get curious, was this being that I felt when I was in the woods, was that actually a dog man? So I asked and I got a yes. And it was like I felt them come back in, like I felt them show up again as it was asking that question, kind of like, reassuring me that it was really them. And I discovered that I can ask if the Sasquatch have messages, and I can get yeses, and I'll feel them show up, and they'll guide me to, whatever the message is. And so then every night I keep asking, the Sasquatch people, and Esmeralda, who is a fairy mentioned in the Sasquatch Message to Humanity books, she she's a fairy that what is willing to help people with their with specifically pain. And so I'm like, well, that's just like the perfect one I need to help, to help me keep healing stuff. And so I keep asking them to, help me in my dreams. And so about 2 nights ago, I had a dream where there was just something different about it. Um, and so the next morning, after I had time to like kind of process the dream, I began to get curious to know if the Sasquatch and Esmeralda were actually in my dreams. So I asked if they were, like, because the humans that were in the dreams, except for the one, none of them looked at me. None of them made eye contact. None of them, like, really spoke to me. And it was kind of like their energy was shielded. Like, I couldn't feel into their energy. Like, there was, like, a bit of a shielding there. And the other person was a younger person. It was kind of like a family, but they were like people from different parts of my life in the dream. And there was this one person who felt like my little sister. And it was a point in the dream where I just broke down and cried. And I didn't, it was just very interesting because she just stood there and she just looked at me, like she watched me with love in her eyes. And it was different because I would not normally expect a younger sister to be there for me if I'm breaking down or something. And just the way that she looked at me, she didn't say anything. It made me begin to wonder if she was Esmeralda. So I asked if the humans in my dream were the Sasquatch people shapeshifted into humans, and I got a yes. And I asked if the younger sister was actually Esmeralda, the fairy, shapeshifted into a human, and they were helping me in my dreams. And I got a yes. So it's just been so cool the last several weeks and month to just explore this. And it's just like there's a whole new world opening for me. Like there's times when I'm not quite sure yet. Like I'm still learning how to use it and how to actually listen to my body, but it's it feels like it's really helping me to just explore in so many ways that I just never really could before, because now I'm tapping into so much other wisdom and knowledge, like from my higher self, and and all these beings that are helping me, you know. So so yeah, it's I feel like my journey has just started, and it's just almost expanding faster than I can keep up.
Yeah, I've recognized that in your energy too. Between, well, especially from a lot of your Facebook posts and some of the situations you find yourself in, and the allowance that you have to follow the promptings that you get, and then the energy that I feel as we connect, as far as the momentum that you're building behind your exploration. It's pretty, to me, it's pretty tangible. So yeah, I think you're gonna have a lot of cool experiences. Any comments that anybody wants to make as far as the stuff that Sparkling just shared?
Sparkling, I just wanted to tell you that I'm always admiring you. I'm in such awe how you're able to just follow your intuition, follow where your feet go. I really admire that about you, and it's exciting to see your journey and what you're experiencing. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you.
And
And
if there is, go ahead, Arla.
one of the things with the dog man coming to do, this is so much about your release of fear in your life, in connecting with these beings that you are connected to now. Um, people deal in fear with the Sasquatch people, and then they go past that when they start talking about the dog man, because we have a history in human stories that present them as monsters, such as Little Red Riding Hood and those types of stories. And for you to connect to this being, the dog man, in the way that you did says so much for where you are now with fear. That that is so, so special for you. And they will begin to make themselves more known to you. And they give you that protection feeling as well when you connect with them. And that makes me so happy for you.
I find it very interesting because it's almost like I had to shut everything else out. Like even like sometimes I get distracted because I want friends to hang out with and stuff, but I feel like in a way I have had, in a way it's almost good because of my sensitivity. I would be so distracted by all that. And so not really having people to hang out with, um and just kind of having myself to deal with, like there's not much else for me to do for fun than to go out in the woods. And I feel like it's just like this season of my life of not having much of a community, especially locally, like it's just opening the doors to find my actual local community. Um, and and it makes me so happy that I can just be honest with them, because that's what I really want. Like to just be on, have somebody I can just be truly honest and trust. Um, and they keep showing me that I can trust them, and they're going to help me, or they keep helping me. It's just, but but I find it interesting because I know that if I had a lot of interactions with people outside of work and stuff, like I would just, it would just distract me too much. Um, so yeah, I feel like it's very much like they're coming into my life and kind of filling the spot that humans aren't filling right now, and it just helps me in more ways than I think humans could have ever been there, or supported me in the way that they do. I don't know. I'm just talking.
I think it's really cool how you know, the collaboration between other aspects of consciousness and that own your own expanded you bring together experiences like this for you to have so that you can have the type of growth and the opportunity to move beyond things like it's providing for you. So it's so nice. It's really nice.
I had a similar chapter in my life at one point where I was spending a lot of time communicating with other beings I'm familiar with, I guess, in dream time and also in meditations. And that was my community. Those are my friends at the time. And also through my sculptures and the extraterrestrials that I would sculpt in clay, I would connect with them in their, I guess, physical, well, what I imagine their physical form to be like, and then energetically from then on, not actually in front of me, but just imagining walking with them, like they'd be beside me, or imagine sitting with them in their world that they're from, wherever it would be. I really would just play with it and use my imagination. And it was very comforting when I didn't have friends or anyone to really spend my time with as a human. So I relate very much. And it's definitely very helpful to make those connections and to maintain them.
And for me, I found that there were definitely a lot of times in my life, especially when I really got into exploring nature, where I really wasn't hanging out with anybody else at all. It would just be me and the woods. And I would go out and, we have a park that's about, I don't know, it's maybe 10,000 acres or something like that. I'm not sure what it is. But I'd get in sometimes as early as 7 in the morning and I'd walk really slowly so I could really feel what was going on for like 12 hours a day. And I would go in there a lot. And then little by little by little, I had more and more and more experiences. So it was pretty cool, And so I've done a lot of things in my life that have not included anybody else besides me and my exploration. So yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, go Heidi.
I've felt a lot that the the beings that work with us in their energy form or their non-physical form, in that form they can help us differently than and in ways that they could not if they were taking a life, if they were in a physical life at the time. That's been my experience and what I've, it's almost like we couldn't help you in the way that we're helping you if we were next to you, having the same experience of forgetfulness that you are. So I
Yeah,
just wanted to share that.
yeah. And sometimes too, um, especially if you're fresh in your movement into retrust of people, it's really nice to have those connections with aspects of spirit, of consciousness, whatever you want to say, that are so tangible, so immediate, that really don't challenge you as far as needing to trust a person again. You can learn to trust yourself, which is really what it's all about anyway, through that particular venue. And then you can apply it to people, which you will do, So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it gives me more confidence just knowing that I have the connection I have with them, that they know everything. I mean, they understand. So it is very comforting to me and it gives me confidence even just in the things I have to face just trying to live a normal human life that some people might never even think of. Um but yeah, it's very comforting. And I mean, another question I asked them was if the reason I don't see them is because I would be too scared. And I keep getting a yes, which I understand that because, if I did see them as in their physical form, it would be more humanoid and that would freak me out. But I think as my trust grows in them, it'll make it easier for me to see them. Like I feel them so strongly a lot of the times when I am in the woods and it's just really comforting for me. And um so yeah, even in my dreams, I think it would almost startle me out of my dreams and how they're trying to help me in my dreams if I actually saw them in the real form. But it's just so interesting, like that it makes it's so exciting to me that I can now ask my questions, um, my crazy questions, and get answers for them, and just all the other explorations that comes with combining my connection with the Sasquatch and muscle testing. It's just it just makes me really excited to see where this is going to take me next. And yeah, it's just really exciting.
Cool.
And it feels like even just in connecting with Dogman, it just makes it really that felt very much like it was like my life is really expanding to, you know, make room for more beings, more different beings to make themselves known, um, to come into my life and just show me, like it feels like the community of support that I already have is just expanding even more, um, with the
Yeah.
dog man coming in. And I know that there's times when I'm out in the woods that I feel energy that I think is the little people too. So it's just like, and even just the way that the whole forest and the trees and everything just seems to, you know, just watch over me and protect me. It's just really an amazing experience that, I mean, is beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah. Sounds very nurturing. That's very cool. So it looks like next up in our queue sounds like Anita, unless that was the comment you wanted to make. But if you're going to do something, go ahead, Anita.
Um, well, I started really on my spiritual path about 5 years ago. So compared to everybody else, I always feel like I'm the newbie of the group. Um, you know, I had the experience of Donna Eden. She healed my ankle, and that was about 10 years ago. Um, and that led me to start looking. I wish I could say that I looked right away, but life was quite difficult back then. And like Chuck, you said that you kind of, went in and out of your spirituality, depending on how your life was at the time. And I experienced that myself. But um, it's interesting when you say that this talk is about interacting with non-physical self or friends. Um, Sometimes I doubt myself, and I think I've experienced a lot more than I'm really recognizing. Um, and I would like some input, some help. I've experienced synchronicities and feeling I'm led to do things, you know, but I'm still very much in the searching mode, I feel. Um, you know, I feel like I am not trusting what I'm experiencing. I have self-doubt, like, am I making it up or reading into it too much?
Sure.
I'm hoping, everyone would be able to enlighten me.
So I'm going to make two observations and then open it up for other people and what they want to add. But uh, one of the things that you can do, I'm going to suggest, is to, within your mind, just pose the question to your higher self. And you
Mhm.
don't have to wait for a response or anything else. Just pose the question and just ask if they could make whatever method of connection is easiest for you, will be easiest for you, to begin to show up. And then just kind of, you know how if you see a movie about let's maybe the control tower in an airport and they have that little radar thing going along and you see the little blips of the plane as it's going on, just kind of do that with your consciousness, throughout the day when you think about it. Just kind of have that net going on, where you're just reaching out into things and pay attention to the things that are going on for you, and see, if there's begins to be a pattern in things that are showing up. It might be lights flashing at a particular time. It might be a smell that shows up, more frequently than other things do. It might be a particular song that whatever, there'll be some sort of something, that part of you will make something a little more obvious. So a second part of that for me was when I was asking that very question, it's like, okay, how do I know if it's just not one of my thoughts versus
Right.
something that's coming from you was my question, basically. And so what I found when I was paying attention is that the stuff that came from me had this particular type of a feeling state that was associated with it that I noticed. And then I went, okay, so that's a little different. And so then I started paying attention to whether I had more things that would show up, information, and that little feeling would be there with it. And it got to be where it was consistently there. And so, and then what happened is that when I would get the information, something would show up that would corroborate the information that I got. And so I knew that when I got that information, there was a particular feeling kind of, I'll call it a feeling state, an inner thing, not a bodily thing, but an inner thing that showed up with it. And that's how, for me, I learned to recognize information that was coming from the rest of me versus stuff that was just popping around in my mind, for whatever reasons. And so it gave me something to kind of pay attention to. And so I'm sure, with all the various individuals that we have here, they had their own way of things showing up for them. So maybe some of you other guys can talk about how, things first began to show up for you, what you first began to notice. I know Kathleen talked a little earlier about some of the things for her, but maybe some of the other guys can weigh in just for ideas, sake. So anybody, doesn't really make any difference. You can share whatever it might be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, before I go, does anyone have any questions or comments for Anita before I go ahead? Just thought we'd give her more of a chance.
Did you have a little something about how things first showed up for you?
I do, but I want to.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's no one else. I have a couple notes so I don't forget because I kind of planned ahead. Let's see. Just so I kind of know where I'm going. So I wanted to sort of talk about the sensory experience of reality, sort of how I interpret it, like a little tour through my mind when I'm interacting with those levels of myself and how it shows up for me. Because I'm sure you guys share the same or might share similar experiences with this. But for me, all of my sensory input, whether it's visual or a smell or a taste or auditory, there's a inner illustration, like a vivid mental imagery that energetically represents what I'm feeling. So it's a dual experience. There's, what I'm touching, and then what that sensation looks like simultaneously in energy. And sometimes it's automatic, and other times it's if I focus on it and put my intention on what I'm feeling, then the image will come. It depends on my...
Is that an outer image or something in your mind?
In my mind.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, my inner visual interpretation of it. I'm not actually seeing it in front of me. Like, it doesn't... Well, sometimes if I'm looking at like the clouds, for example, and in a really good feeling state, while I'm looking at the clouds, then I'll see my inner energetic interpretation of what I'm looking at. It'll start to overlay with the clouds itself. And in my case, it looks like rainbows. So rainbow light will start to weave itself into the clouds as I'm looking at the clouds. But typically, it's an inner mental image that I receive from my other sensory input. So smells, same thing. It'll have a beautiful mental image that goes with it. And even just the feeling alone will create an entire world in my mind that I get to experience. So if I'm feeling a really high state of joy and creative inspiration or enthusiasm, typically I find myself in some nature setting in my mind with beautiful lighting all around me, and orbs will show up, all these different things that I see very vividly in my mind. And I just feel like everything in this world is reflecting to me that same feeling that I'm holding. So every blade of grass is just as enthusiastic as I am. It's just everybody is representing that energy. And other times, if it's a really negative or a really intense feeling I'm having, like there was one instance where in high school I was having a really difficult day with my mom. There was some conflict that happened between us, and I was feeling a lot of, like, I guess, uncertainty about if I was loved and stuff like that, which I am loved by her. I assure you, we have a good relationship now. It was just that one day that was weird. But during that day, every time I closed my eyes, I would see like a mangled and tangled vision of like internal organs, like intestines and stuff like that. And it was really disturbing. It lasted pretty much the whole day until that feeling kind of diffused and settled. And my mom and I repaired whatever had gone on, and there was more communication, and it was okay. But a very intense feeling will always show up in my mind very vividly. Um, yeah, and sort of on a lighter note, there's some interesting kind of comical things that happened with scents. When I smell, like there was one occasion where I smelled like an apple crisp that was baking, and for like 2 or 3 days I could still smell it even though it wasn't around me in my environment. That sensory information was right there, and of course when I smell it I see it in my mind, and I see the energetic representation of the pie or the apple crisp as well too. And other times, like I go to the dentist and they use this drill and it's really loud, and there's like a taste and a smell that goes with it. And I could taste and smell that for like a full 24 hours after the dentist as well. So sometimes it's not super pleasant, but it's just one of the ways that I like, relate to and connect with physical reality, I suppose. Because an insight that came to me a few days ago about this is for people who are on the autism spectrum or just really energetically sensitive, structure and routine and repetition and even like intense kind of predictable experiences, which often involve sensory input, those are necessary for us to feel kind of grounded and secure within physical reality so that we can maintain such fluidity with our consciousness, because consciousness has no structure. It's like water. And by having such an experience that has such a stark contrast to the fluidity of consciousness, it keeps your focus. You're not going to forget it. It's like a distinction that is so strong, that, yeah, you just have no other, I guess, well, of course you have a choice, but it feels like you have no choice but to pay attention to it. Like if you have a pain in your knee, your attention keeps going to your knee all day. And if it wasn't there, you probably wouldn't be thinking about your knee. So for energetically sensitive people, there's usually some, I don't know, pretty intense things have to happen in physical reality in order to maintain focus on it. Because I know for myself, if I shift away from it, it's kind of hard to come back for a bit. Like I'm sure you notice I space out a lot when we're on these calls. My body kind of feels soft and I just kind of go think about something else, or I kind of tune into the energy instead of the words. And sometimes I really have to bring myself back, but I'm still absorbing it and listening to it, but the response time is delayed. That's why speech is sometimes difficult for me, because getting my body to come on board with communicating what's actually going on up all around is kind of challenging at times. Anyway, that was a lot of information, but I'll pause there for now for any questions or comments, or if anyone else wants to go.
Yeah.
I,
So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would like to say I'm very impressed by what you just did, Willow. And I love to see everybody expressing what's on their mind. And I'd also like to say, Anita, I've been doing this stuff for years and years and years. And it's only been, I'm going to say, the last few months that I can distinguish the thoughts of my ego self from my higher self or my soul. And they communicate differently. But first of all, just look at what your thought is, you know, and examine that. And which is what I've been doing. And I'm like, it's which one of me is making that comment? And it's a journey for all of us. You know, you can't expect to know how to do everything all at once, which I feel kind of overwhelmed by the things I'm undertaking right now because I feel like I have to do everything all at once. But you don't. You have all time is infinite. You have all the time you need. And I think you're doing a great job. I think you've done amazing things. So the fact that you've only been doing it a few years is pretty amazing to me. And we have people here who are young people who are in that same position. But anyway, they're exploring that as they go along too. So just, you know, one thing I've also learned is just to forgive myself when I don't know the answer to something.
Well, that's very helpful, Kathleen. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that, you know, one of the things that I've discovered on this journey is that, you know, the more encompassing you, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, you know, has got, because it's you, has got a real nice route for you to be able to explore yourself and to understand a little bit more of yourself, a little bit more of yourself, a little bit more of yourself, a little bit more of yourself in a way that's going to be impactful for you and be additive to your life at the same time. So, you know, from all the experience that I've had, and then being able now to look back on it, and I know it's difficult to do this when you're early in it and you're surrounded by individuals in this type of a culture, but I'm going to kind of mirror a little bit what you just heard and say, if you possibly can, just try to relax about it. You know, just allow yourself to explore what seems interesting for you to explore in that moment, whatever it might happen to be. And don't worry about what it needs to be doing in such black and white terms, really at any time, but especially right now. Just really allow yourself to be enthusiastic about it, allow yourself to explore whatever it is feels fun for you to explore, and it'll just start to open up for you. Because again, and I know that, you know, you're going to see changes probably faster than the changes that I saw back when I first started to explore, because that's the energy that we're in, you know. But I still think that that's the best way to approach it, not to pressure yourself. Just follow whatever's fun for you to follow, and the doors will start to open for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's helpful.
So it looks like, and Sparkling, if we can wait just a little bit on your question, or is it kind of related to the subject matter that we're on right now?
It's okay to wait.
Okay, all right. And all I want to do is I want to say, I want to give whoever it might be, because of course we have quite a few people around again right now. If somebody wants to, you know, share a little bit of their exploration, how it began, anything like that, you know, would be interesting to be able to pay attention to here, interact with a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to add just, go ahead.
No, go ahead and add, and I'll kill a bug. Sorry.
No, I was just going to fill time until someone said they wanted to. And so now that you said you wanted to, I don't need to fill time.
I'm being attacked by bugs at the moment, but that's fine. I'll let them cohabitate.
There you
So
go.
I feel like I've been exploring all my life and in and out of different adventures as I've come along. But at this point in my life, I am paying less attention to my thoughts and just I've been exploring awareness more so than anything, and the voices in my mind. I've been detaching from my mind a little bit. That's at least what I've been trying to working. That's what I am doing. I'm detaching more from my mind and just being awareness of the thoughts, and that I'm not my thoughts, that I'm not my mind, and just I've just been wanting to expand more and more of who I am. And I haven't had a whole lot of experience with beings, but I have downloads. I've received downloads all the time, and a lot of it is with music. Like I'll hear songs, or I'll be thinking of a word, and it may not be music or audio, but I'll just hear the word. Either if I'm listening with headphones, like that's just how I communicate. My higher self communicates with me, and so I'll hear a word, and it'll either be playing. It's like the next word I hear in the song, or the whoever's talking or whatever. So that's been kind of interesting as of late, and just opening up to everyone else's, and I always enjoy I'm happy just having other people to communicate with, that there's many different experiences, but at least we're open to each other's, and no one's gonna think you're weird here.
Yeah, right.
The weirder the better, quite honestly. So bring it on. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of where I'm at.
yeah,
But music is definitely my audio is definitely how I communicate with my higher self, or vice versa. But I'm really just trying to let go of all of just judging the thoughts and just letting them come to me, and just letting them, like the clouds, and I'm the sky.
yeah,
So I'll say it's fun.
yeah, yeah. I relate a lot to the music thing. Many times when I come out of dream state, I have a song that's in my head. Not the whole song, but a certain part of the song. And it'll be with me all day long, or sometimes several days, until sometimes I need to listen to the whole
Yeah.
song. And frequently, when I go, a lot of times I use YouTube, but when I go, I know that whatever version of the song that pops up and whoever sang it was the one that's important for me to see too.
Oh yeah.
Um, or uh, I'll uh, I'll go to work and someone will mention the song, and they'll mention the context, something about it, and maybe I'm stimulated to ask them a question or something like that or not. But yeah, there's always those synchronicities that show up, and a lot of times it's part of a chunk of a song that I came back with from Dreamtime.
Mm.
So yeah, and then it could be several days while I follow that thread sometimes. So yeah, I identify with that. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I think that's
Very
pretty much
nice.
it.
Yeah, cool.
Although I have a strange relationship with the number 47, if anyone can explain that. But other than that, it's been following me for quite some time.
Nice.
Yeah, so 47.
Anybody? Any hits? As
I,
she
I
said
see
that?
it every day. It shows up
It
in
equals 11.
every way. Oh, well, that's cool.
11 just happens to be like my birth path number, and 1111 is like my number, my
Yeah,
time,
I remember
it's just been a thing like all my life. So yeah,
that. Okay,
that's the first thing that popped into me was just
I'll
that it
take
equals
that.
11.
I'll take that different
Now,
version of it. Yeah.
whether it has anything to do with anything or not.
and it's divided in up as 4 and 7, which in themselves have meaning as well. um, I haven't looked into that much, but that's kind of what I am picking up.
And one of the things that Desatu whispered in my ear when you, like just a few moments ago, was um, maybe search events of the world in 1947 and see what pops up, and see if there's anything that you're drawn to as well.
The with music thing again. I was born on. I have the same birthday as Liberace, and I know it's kind of weird, but and I love Liberace. Oddly enough, my mother probably played him a lot when I was little, and but he was 47 when I was born on his 47th birthday. So I was just like,
Oh,
wow, that was crazy. And I just happened to I looked that up probably a few years ago.
uh-huh.
So again, it was just that 47 thing. So it's
Yeah.
fun.
It feels again like that's a connection that is worth your exploring a little bit more.
The 47 or Liberace?
Liberace.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel Liberace. Yeah. That's why I'm taking
Yeah.
piano, actually.
There you go. Yeah. Never
Awesome.
know.
Yep. When we keep getting numbers over a long period of time, which is what you're going to do, sometimes when that pops up, it's just
Just me.
a deal of saying, okay, pay
Pay
attention here.
attention. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Just
what
pay
I've been going
attention.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Because
and
it happens
18.
so frequently that I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So
18's always been my number. And as I matured, and I think the second tarot deck I ever looked at, and I didn't look at any till I was probably 60, maybe. I read for people, but I didn't use anything. But it is the number of the grandmothers in that deck. And I was like, so I've carried this 18 my whole life. It's always been something. It's a variable, also a 3. And, when I saw that, it's like, oh, okay. Now I understand that's what that number is. It's my connection to the grandmothers and those variables of the number 3, which are something that guides me as well.
cool. Thank you.
One day I just, by paying attention to what you said and also looking up what Liberace's birthday was, I figured out what your birth date is. And I've been doing a little exploration lately on numerology stuff, and I have a really good guidebook. And your your number, your birth number is 34/7. So the 3, Arla is just bringing up the 3, but you have the 4 and the 7, in which is it shows certain traits. I'd have to look it up. I can't tell you what they are because you're not the same number as me. But I'm wondering if it is related at all to a numerology thing.
I like numbers.
There you go. So we probably have a little bit of time left. So with that, why don't you go ahead and ask the question that you had, Sparkling?
So it's a question that has just come up tonight when I was trying to find some answers, but it's just something I'm still processing, and I just thought, oh, maybe some of you others would have some input or dealt with something similar. So yesterday I saw something that triggered a feeling of jealousy, and so then I was trying to get to the root of it, because to me it feels like something negative. I don't want it in my life. And so in trying to figure it out, then this morning I was working on stuff, and I kept being reminded of something somebody once said to me. And I asked my higher self if it's connected, and it was yes. And I began to, in trying to find answers and figure it out, I realized that as I'm trying to heal, I see these things that I'm trying to heal as something negative, and I need to heal them to get rid of them, so that they go out of my life, like the fears and just whatever. And so it's almost like there's these parts of me that I'm trying to get rid of. And so what came up when I was trying to look for answers was about embodying my wholeness, like embodying the wholeness of me, like all the parts that I don't like and all the parts that I'd rather have, like And I'm just trying to figure out how to even start going about it. I know it starts with awareness, but I was just wondering if anybody else would have experiences or anything that they would be willing to share in learning to embodying their wholeness.
So probably the easiest way that I've explained this to most individuals is that, so if you think in terms of your own unlimited you, right? No boundaries, huge, creating so much that you can't even fathom all the stuff that's being created. Like the solar systems, the galaxies, the universe is just, there's a you out there that's immense, that is just unbelievably vast, right? All things are happening within that you, all the things that we consider to be bad and all the things that we consider to be good. Okay. And because really there's no distinction between this you and that you, it's only that there's a part of that incredibly vast you that's having this experience, and this you doesn't know that it's all of that you as well. Okay. Basically, so you can have this experience. So the thing about embodying all of what you are doesn't mean that you have to experience all the negativity, but just realize that it's it's associated with all of what you are. In other words, it's in that huge, vast energy of all what you are. That type of an experience is there also in it. It also doesn't mean it needs to be your preference or you need to like it. All you need to understand is that it's valid within all of what you are. That is you embodying it into you, because you're not just this you, you're a huge you. And so there's all this stuff going on in that huge you. This you gets to have preferences. This you gets to like certain things and not like other certain things. But attempt, if you can, not to judge them, except that what's your preference to like or not like. In other words, if somebody else is expressing themselves in that way, that gets to be their choice, that they express them. Now, if it's harming you, you get to make choices about how to move away from that, of course, or do what you need to do. But if it's out there and you become aware of it, but it's not directly affecting you, then that's a part of energy and consciousness as a whole, right? And your acceptance of that is the same as you accepting that within that huge, vast you, there's all sorts of stuff going on. Because think of it, earlier in your life, you had some very challenging experiences, right? In 15 years from now, your life is going to be really, really nice. And your life will be nothing like those challenging experiences. But still, within that vastness of you, those challenging experiences are occurring, right? But what you don't want to do is say that there's something wrong with that you that was having those challenging experiences, right? You don't want to separate you from you. It doesn't mean you have to have those experiences still, or you have to like experiences that are similar or prefer them or anything like that. You can dislike them as long, but it can be a tricky thing because you have to understand the concept well to dislike something, but still understand it's valid. It's the validity that counts. You have to understand that everything is valid. Doesn't mean you have to like it or you have to choose it. You get your preferences, but still it's valid. That's what making yourself whole is all about. It doesn't mean, because you're never going to get rid of those experiences. And by that, what I mean, they're not going to leave your huge energy. They're always going to be in your huge energy, but you don't have to experience them in this physical experience any longer. You can have different experiences, but they're always going to be in your energy because nothing is ever forgotten within consciousness. It's always there. So that's what embodying all of yourself is about. It doesn't mean that you have to like those things or make those choices. Just understand that someplace within all of what you are, that's there somewhere.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard for me to still like wrap my head around all of that.
That's
Because
understandable.
even like Christine was talking earlier about being in that high energy state, it's like it then is kind of confusing to me because it's like, so I know this is all a part of me, and I prefer not to feel some of those things, but it just gets kind of confusing.
Yeah. And again, like Kathleen was telling Anita, the same is true for you. You're early in your process. You're not going to understand all of this early in your process. I've been at this stuff 35 years, and there's still parts of this stuff that are not clear for me, and other individuals here have had long journeys. And so the thing is that it is a process. It's going to unfold for you. You're not going to understand all of it immediately. It's pretty rare that that happens for anybody. It's going to be a process. And when you hear things like this, there were lots of things I heard when I was early in my process that I'm like, I don't understand what that exactly means. And maybe it took 10 years down the line before I went, oh, that's what they were talking about. So eventually it'll dawn on you. You'll reach a place where the rest of you will give you that information. You'll go, okay, now I understand. Allow yourself to be confused sometimes too. That's okay. You know, just again, like I mentioned earlier, attempt to make the choices that work for you. Sometimes that's a difficult thing to do. Sometimes it's a little easier, but just keep pointing yourself in that direction. Again, I've been at this stuff a long time. I still have challenges in my life. I'm not without them. And I mean, and even I can even let my mind start to go down one road, and I'm right there next to it going, you see what you're doing here, and I continue to do it anyway. It may not last a super long period of time, but sometimes it does. And sometimes I'll go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. I'll build on that story. So it's just the way that it works sometimes. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, don't expect clarity in all things right away. You've got great friends giving you help, helping you, building a space for you that you can explore yourself within. That's going to do a lot. Utilize that space, which I know you are. You know, individuals that you're making friends with, communities like this. Utilize all the things that fall into your lap. I guess I'll put it like that, right? Things that show up in your life that give you the opportunity to continue your journey. But there's going to be confusion. It's not all going to be clear right away.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Exactly.
His infinite wisdom, right?
Well, guys, I know that there's other of you guys that have got a lot to share. So I think this might be a good thing to continue next Saturday, because there's still a considerable amount of you guys that have got things to share. And I know you got a ton of stuff to share. I could sprinkle it in. I know that Willow will probably have a little bit more to share as well. But I think it's a good direction too. So let's do this next Saturday as well. And Dave, of course, is welcome to share as well in that if you would like to. And even if you guys have got good friends or whatever, and if that sounds interesting to them, certainly invite them, and they can do that as well. But so yeah, so we'll do that. And I'll post this for all you guys again tomorrow. It'll be a raw recording. But I think it feels like a good time to tie it up. We've been at it about an hour and a half now. So, yeah. So, as I always say, it feels really good to be with you guys. It's really, really nice. Um, I love, I love that we're able to talk like we're able to talk. It's really cool. And so, like Wanda said a little while ago, to me, I feel the same way. The more interesting it is, the more quote unquote weird it is, the more out there it is, the more interesting it is as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's chat about it, whatever. It's I think it's a ton of fun. So yeah. But if anybody's got a little closing comment, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll end the recording in just a little bit. So go ahead. If someone's got something.
I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. I was wanting to make sure that everybody had a turn. And yes, I would definitely like to share. I have a lot of examples that I would love to share with everyone. And I have to find a way for myself to be able to, like,
Package it.
that's a good way to put it. But yeah, so I just wanted to thank everyone for sharing. I
Cool.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
And
So
you, of course, for hosting.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, so we'll see you guys again. Whoever, hey Dave,
I just
whoever has the
wanted to
op.
say also thank you, everybody. And listening to all of you speak, I want you to know that not only are you not alone with all your spiritual help, but all of us as well. And most people going through this awakening experience similar things. So, it might sound crazy and weird and odd, but there's a common thread, and we're all part of it and
Yeah,
supporting you and want to continue to be there to be by your side. And thank you, everybody, for being open and honest. And uh, we appreciate it. And thank you.
cool. Thanks, Dave. That was nice. Cool. Well, again, fantastic night, guys, and see you later. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys again next Saturday.
Good night,
Bye bye.
everybody.
Good night.
Ciao.